Welcome back to the show today. We are talking about durability in the NBA. Why is it that some players can seemingly stay on the floor their entire career, while some players feel like they're always one false move away from a season-ending injury? Do some players play harder than others? Or are some players more reckless than others? Or do some players just have weaker genes? Well, I don't think it's any of those reasons, really. But what I will say is that to some degree, I believe players are somewhat responsible for their own physical health. You are in control of your knee cartilage. You can play a part in your own mobility and strength. Being a guy with bad knees doesn't necessarily have to be your identity. Let's start on a positive note. Let's start with a guy that is made of stone. Let's start with Jayson Tatum. Okay, Jayson Tatum gets a lot of Unless you're a Boston fan, I don't think he's anyone's favorite player. But regardless of what you think of him, he does not miss games. He's been in the league since 2017, and he's missed 47 games in his entire career. He's top 10 in touches every year. He averages running 2.5 miles every game. That's a lot for reference. And his usage rating is always over 30%. This guy has an incredible workload on a very successful team. He's also a two-way player, so he's never taking any plays off. So he's not like a guy that you can point out doesn't help out on defense, is never gonna get hurt on defense. He goes really hard on defense. Tatum is full effort every time he's on the floor. Over the last 2 seasons, of the top 20 scorers in the league, he's played the most games and averaged the most minutes. Tatum has been in the league for the entire load management era, and he's never taken part in any of it.
Like, not trying to be arrogant, like it's a bunch of kids in there, my shoes and my jersey, and just because we playing Charlotte on NBA League Pass on a Monday, and ain't nobody watching, I'm chilling tonight. That's not what the great players, the best players do.
If he's healthy, he plays, and he's always healthy. Because a lot of times, teams will rest their star player because they want to save them for the postseason, which isn't a bad idea, and I think it's really important that some teams do that. But resting doesn't seem to be important for Jayson Tatum. He's helping get wins for the Celtics all season, putting the Celtics in a position where they either have the 1 or 2 seed for the last 3 seasons. The Celtics then are also in a good position because they have rhythm. Because not only does Jayson Tatum play a lot, so does his teammate Jaylen Brown, so does his teammate Derek White, and so does his teammate Drew Holiday. Really, the only player on that Celtics team that was an injury liability was Porzingis. So while the Celtics didn't have a huge name player, let's say a guy like Steph, LeBron, KD, Embiid, Jokic, Luka probably, they did have consistency, which personally I think is one of the most undervalued assets in the NBA. I'll just say the most undervalued asset in the NBA. And maybe you do consider Jayson Tatum a big name player, which is something I made up anyway. It would make sense to put him in that class. He's on the cover of NBA 2K. I saw his cardboard cutout all over Dick's Sporting Goods. That has to mean something, right? So if you think Tatum is the face of the NBA, I think that's valid. I can't say he didn't earn it. The dude has put in his time and has given us consistent good basketball. But what is it that makes Tatum so durable? Why haven't the Celtics gone to playoffs without Tatum since he's been in the league? Does he just play through pain while other players will wait to get on the floor until they're completely healthy? Well, yeah, kinda. He kinda does that. Because according to Tatum himself, he played through a fractured wrist during the 22 finals.
It showed that I had a non-displaced fracture in my wrist, and it was small, but it was still.
But still, yeah.
But it had shown that the bone that grew over it, so it healed. I was still in pain because I kept getting it hit or falling on it. So I guess I played with somewhat of a fracture for 2 months.
And I believe this man. I don't think he's lying to just make up for a mediocre performance. I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. Players get hurt all the time. It's going to happen if you're a professional athlete. It's understandable. Odds are Jayson Tatum has been injured a lot in his career. And what we've learned is that sometimes players just continue to play injured. And I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm saying that's a bad idea. Tatum could have further fractured his wrist. Maybe so bad he ends up in a position where he can't even shoot a jump shot for the rest of his career. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like things like that happen. So whether you think Tatum is tough as nails or dumb as a box of rocks is in the eye of the beholder. So I want to go back to that Bleacher Report interview real quick, where Tatum is talking about playing through that fractured wrist. I don't even remember this interview, but I'm sure people gave him a lot of guff for this, about making an excuse for why the Warriors beat them. It's similar to when LeBron lost to the Warriors in 2018. Then he came out and did a post-game interview with a hand cast. I guess he did it basically to say, hey, by the way, I played that entire finals with a broken hand. And if you look at the x-ray, it looks pretty messed up. Which, good for LeBron. I would have done the same thing. Let people know how it was and what you sacrificed. The alternative is players just not playing when they have any sort of injury. I think of this example with Ben Simmons a lot. Ben Simmons did not play in the 2020 playoffs because he had a back injury. He didn't play at all. No game. Ben Simmons' stock did not go down. Or if it did go down, it didn't go down that much. People were just like, oh, he got injured. What are you gonna do? We'll get him next year. Which I always thought was kind of strange. Well, he did play in the postseason the next year. And that was the year that he got completely exposed for not wanting to shoot free throws. And being so petrified of it that he passed up an open dunk. That was the playoffs that ruined Ben Simmons' career. And if you think about it, he should have hurt his back again before the playoffs even started. That would have been the smart thing to do. Sure, people probably would have been upset again, but he would have at least bought himself another couple seasons of NBA relevance. He wouldn't have become a joke. So my point is, when a player plays and fails, go easy on them because you do not know what they are experiencing physically. They could be playing through a lot of pain. And keep in mind, they have the option of putting on a swaggy outfit and sitting on the bench. That is something they always can do, and I don't want that, you don't want that. Let's be real. I'm waiting for the day that they have a nervous system test where they can actually hook you up to a bunch of electrodes and figure out how much pain you're experiencing. That way we'll actually know which players are being objective. Let's move on. Now, that's enough positivity for this video. Let's talk about players who can't stop hurting themselves. Let's talk about a player who's had so many injury woes that I honestly do not remember a time when they were thriving. That player is Lonzo Ball. Of course, y'all saw the thumbnail. Lonzo Ball has not played in an NBA game since January 14th, 2022. That's right, it's been 2.5 years since Lonzo Ball has seen a single minute of NBA time. And it's not even like Lonzo Ball was at pinnacle of health before that. His career has been one prolonged injury peppered with a couple basketball games. His rookie season, he missed 30 games on account of a shoulder injury, a calf injury, and a knee injury. His second season, he missed 35 games. Then in the 2 years he was in New Orleans, he managed to stay relatively healthy. He only missed a quarter of the games. And the Pelicans decided, if this is peak Lonzo Ball, I think we're gonna pass. Lonzo's a good defensive player. He's a good passer. He's good in transition. But the guy is not efficient. His free throws are bad. His field goal percentage is bad. And calling his three-point percentage decent would be an overstatement. On top of these flaws, he doesn't play a lot. Lonzo, at 23 years old and only playing 4 years in the league, he'd only played 70% of the game. That is why the Pelicans sent him to the Bulls on a sign-in trade. The Bulls decided to pay Lonzo $80 million over 4 years. He's 3 years into that contract and he has played 35 NBA games. That's 14% of the games he's been under contract for. I'm not including play-in games. I'm not including playoff games either. Lonzo Ball is so injury prone that he gets hurt rehabbing previous injuries. In 2019, he had an ankle sprain that was supposed to keep him out for 4 to 6 weeks. There were complications during his rehab, whatever that means. And the Lakers just decided to shut him down for the rest of the season from an ankle sprain. It was a grade 3 ankle sprain, but an ankle sprain. So the last time he played in January 2022, he had a slight meniscus tear. Slight. He was supposed to be back in 6 weeks. He doesn't come back. He doesn't respond well to rehab. Again, I don't know what this stuff means. What type of rehab is this guy doing? It sounds more dangerous than just playing in a basketball game. Then the following season, he has 2 more surgeries on his knees. He doesn't play at all. Then, all right, the following season, we're ready for Lonzo to play. 2023, he does an interview and says he's not gonna play the next season either. More knee surgeries, of course. So why is Lonzo Ball so injury prone? What is up with this guy? Is it his genes? Is it his shifty style of play? Does he have a bad medical staff? Are the big baller brand shoes killing him? Or is it really just bad luck? No one really knows. Everyone has their own theories about this guy, and I'd like to see him actually play a season in the NBA. So now he's on the last year of that Bulls contract. He's gonna have to do something this year if he wants to play another year in the NBA, even if it's just on a league minimum contract, which is what I assume it would be. So I have an interesting question. Which player is more likely to sign an NBA contract at the end of next season? Lonzo Ball or Ben Simmons? Both guys are free agents at the end of next summer. Both have faded out of relevance over the last 2 or 3 years. Both have chronic injury problems. Simmons has had a higher peak of the two, but he's definitely more emotional, more egotistical as well. While Lonzo has missed significantly more time, but he does seem to be a better teammate and way more passionate about the game of basketball. So I guess what I'm asking is, which one is going to get a better contract, or which one is going to get a contract? Alright, thank you for being here. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you did not like it, leave a comment, I reply to everything, leave a suggestion for a video. This was a suggestion from a comment from the last video, so I'm very grateful for those. Be good to your mother, eat a corn dog. If I didn't say like the video, like the video.